Hey guys, how's it going? So today I'd like to talk about how to react to a piece that you're not happy with. What better way to do that than show one I'm not happy with? So, especially it's been a tough week. I've had a lot of freelance work on. I haven't wanted to do any personal work. And I think this piece definitely shows that. I'm not using it as an excuse, and I'll talk about why I don't like it in a bit. But the main thing I want to talk about today is the view you should take when you do a piece that you're just really unhappy with and you're really frustrated. But to explain the piece overall, I took the plinth idea that I had in the last piece and decided to push it further with an environment. And mainly to add more of a narrative. I think the piece could have been pushed further than the kind of isometric concept that I did previously, and I thought I've never done that before. I've never taken a piece I've already worked on and pushed it further, so I thought it might be fun. And the reason I had so many issues with this piece is that I had absolutely no plan. I didn't know the mood I kind of wanted the piece to have. I kind of put in the lighting in the 3D model, but then didn't really kind of develop it. I didn't really consider how that light would react with the elements. I didn't know what the focal point would be. I didn't know if I wanted characters yet, which you'll see later I do end up adding some, but I didn't know at the time if I wanted any. I knew I wanted the buildings to be this kind of Cambodian temple style, but other than that I grabbed a few images. I didn't really consider how I was going to take that forward. I didn't imagine the visual language, how I was going to use that. So at the start of the piece I just kind of jumped in. I was really tired at the time, because I said I've been doing a lot of freelance work, so I was doing this late at night, and I just didn't critically analyse the piece at all. I just jumped in, started adding values, hoping it'd work out. And I remember even from this early on in the piece, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know why I'm adding what I'm adding. Let's just see what happens. And I don't think that's ever a good thing. So that's why it's bad. Basically, what I wanted to achieve was, I've had this idea for a while where I've been discussing how much 3D to use in the piece. Should I kind of detail everything out in 3D and then do it in 2D after that and just add basically color and detail, or should I create basic forms in 3D and then do most of it in 2D, which is what I've tried with this piece. So I'm glad I have tried it. I think I've chose the worst piece to do it for. This kind of Cambodian style buildings, they're really detailed if you've seen them. So adding that detail in 2D, especially considering a lot of it is buildings so the straight edges, was quite tough. Now, if I was to do it again, I would 100% use photos, because it would just add tons of detail that's way quicker. But I kind of wanted this painterly style. Actually, from the start, I wanted it to be like a lasso painting, where I just used the lasso all the time to create big blocky shapes. But again, I kind of lost that. I didn't really try it much. At the start, you see me doing it a little bit, and it's just not really going anywhere, so I stopped. So that was what I was trying to achieve. Now, that's the main reason I'm unhappy with the piece, is because I didn't develop a good process for it. I found my way to a final piece that's okay, it's not great, it's a bit boring, but my main issue with the piece is that I didn't really learn anything from it, because, well, I did learn something for it, I'll get back to that, but I didn't learn anything with the painting process because I didn't really have one. I was jumping around constantly, I wasn't really thinking about what I was doing, I was just shoving stuff in, hoping it would work. So anyway, that's probably enough talking about what went wrong. What I would like to talk about is when you're in the same situation as me and you produce a piece that you're not happy with, how do you react to it? Now, depending on where you are with your, personal growth as an artist, whether you're just beginning or a few years in, or you've got 15 years under your belt, you will have bad days where you create bad paintings. There's no way around it, really. It will happen. And it's how you deal with it. Now, obviously a more seasoned artist that's producing work daily that they're relatively happy with, when they produce a bad piece, it's a lot easier to shake off. They're like, okay, I produced a bad piece today, that's okay, I'll move on. Where you're an artist where you're struggling day to day, you're working every day and still having issues, it's a tougher pill to swallow. It's a lot harder to deal with. I've been there myself. I had a few years where I was really down because my artistic eye was better than my abilities. So what I mean by that is I could look at a piece and say, this is really good, this is really bad. And I knew what looked good and what looked bad, but I didn't know how to achieve it. So for years I would be producing pieces that were worse than I thought I could produce, because I knew that pieces were better. The easiest way to see if you can do this is by looking at a piece of work you did a year ago or 2 years ago, and you'll be like, wow, that's awful, what was I thinking? And it's because your eye has improved. At the time you might have thought it was okay, but a year later you're like, that's garbage. And I had that for several years where my eye was better than my work. So every single painting I produced I hated, and it was hard. I wasn't happy with any piece I did, which means I didn't really want to do it. I was scared to start new pieces. I would go on ArtStation or Pinterest or whatever site you use, and I would just look at people's work that was better, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so depressing. It's horrible that these artists are just miles ahead of me. I'm never going to get there. Now, I imagine most artists go through what I've been through. Most artists really struggle, and they just look at other people's work and they just get really down about it. But if you are in that situation now, and you finish a piece, you're really unhappy with it, you go on ArtStation, you feel really bad about it, you need to get off ArtStation. You need to go out, go for a walk, put things into perspective, and try to take a positive view on a bad painting. So if you produce a bad piece, go, okay, what can I take from it? What were the positives of this piece? How can I improve next time? Or even if there are no positives whatsoever, you can go, okay, well, I know this is bad. Could be, anatomy, perspective, whatever. That was really bad, so I'm going to work on that next time. That's what I'm going to focus on. And try to take a really positive outlook on a piece that you're really not happy with. And it's easier said than done. But if you take that mindset, that is the professional mindset to take. Ignore the emotional side, ignore being invested in a piece, and just view it professionally. View it, how can I make this piece better? Which is really hard to do for artists, and I get that, but that's something you need to do as a professional. As a work professional, you cannot take things personally, because you'll have art directors do it for you. You'll produce a piece that you might think is okay, or you might dislike, and then an art director will come along and go, no, this is wrong, this needs changing, that needs changing. And you need to be able to go, okay, yeah, that will make it better. Not, oh, well, this is my piece, and feel, kind of negative and defensive. So that is definitely the professional mindset to take. You need to understand the negatives in every painting and own it. Go, yeah, I did that wrong. Definitely going to fix that next time. So for me, taking that on board, I could have viewed this piece as, oh, I'm really unhappy with it. And to be honest with you, there was a point where I was contemplating not uploading it to YouTube, because I know I don't get many people viewing these videos, but even so, anyone views this, it's a bit of a hit to the ego when you're uploading a piece that you don't like. But I realised that's the point of this channel, is to document the entire process, good and bad. I'm not going to have every week where I'm learning things and every piece I'm doing well with. It's just not the case. I'm going to have bad pieces. And if anything, they're more important to show because you're learning from them. If I was creating pieces that I liked all the time, I'd never learn. So there was actually a good artist, I can't remember who said it now, but they said frustration is fantastic, because when I'm frustrated, I know I'm on the edge of learning something new. And I think that's a great mentality to have. If you're really annoyed with a piece and you can't get to grips with it, and you're like, oh, it's just awful, that's good. That frustration is good, because it means you're near learning something new and taking that step up. So with this piece, the main issue, as I mentioned earlier on, is I didn't have a process, and that's definitely what I'm going to take from this piece, is that I need one. I'm not good enough yet where I can just jump into a painting without thumbnails. I'm not good enough where I can jump in without colour comps, because I haven't done enough of them, and that's my own fault. I'm really bad at jumping around with subject matter, so I'll do an environment, then a character, then a vehicle, and a creature, and I'm kind of okay at all of them and not great at any of them. And because of that, I've definitely got gaps in my knowledge, because I haven't done loads and loads of environments and loads of these kind of scenes. And that's what you see when you see a professional just knock it out the park straight away when you watch one of their videos. It's because they've done it so many times. So for me, I need to establish a process. So I need to do a painting similar to this again, with a lighting source that's quite similar, with a composition that's quite similar, and say, how do I break this down and how do I make it easier? Because with me, especially, like, lighting is a real issue, because it ends up becoming a bit muddy all over the place. There's no clear vision of what I wanted to achieve. And that's definitely my main issue with this piece. And try not to make the same mistakes. I mean, it's so easy for me to do this again, not really think about what I'm doing, and just end up, you know, doing exactly the same thing and getting frustrated again and going, well, you know, I've done this again. What's happening? Why aren't I improving? Well, it's because you haven't analysed what's wrong with the piece and really focused on that one thing. I mentioned this in my last video, if you haven't seen it, about focusing on one aspect of a painting and really trying to improve on that area. So in that last painting, it was a character. I worked on value ranges, and this painting definitely suffers from bad value ranges. So where I did really well in that piece is because I really focused on that one aspect. Now, there were other things with that piece that didn't work, don't get me wrong, it's not perfect, but I was happy with it because I set out to focus on one aspect, and I did that. With this piece, I didn't set out to do any one aspect of a painting, like value ranges or anatomy or anything like that. And because of it suffered, it ended up becoming a bit, you know, just boring, to be honest with you. And I think it's definitely got issues with lighting. It's too dark in some areas, too light in others. And you'll see me constantly trying to fix the painting using brightness and contrast and color balance and vibrancy and all that kind of you know, tools that Photoshop has. But it would have been fixed at the start if I had a better plan to sort out the fundamentals, you know, the value ranges, the light source, and the focal point. So if I did that from the very start, I wouldn't have had all these issues all the way along. So yeah, you can see at this point I'm trying to fix the painting by adding glowing, you know, objects, which is always an easy way to fix bad paintings, to add glowing stuff. Yeah, I don't think I got away with it too much. But yeah, that's basically, it's kind of drawing to an end now. You'll see the final piece in a second. Like I said, I'm not happy with it, but I would love to hear your guys' thoughts about how you deal with a bad painting. Do you set out to achieve one aspect of a painting, or do you try to improve everything in one go? I'd really love to hear your thoughts. This channel is intended to kind of start a conversation. Sometimes I feel like I'm on my own with a certain thought process, you know, and I'm heading down the wrong route. If you think that is true, let me know in the comments. It'd be great to hear how you tackle a painting, how you deal with rejection, how you deal with a bad piece. Do you deal with it the same as me? But anyway, it'd be great to hear your thoughts. And that's it. Stay tuned for the next one. Thanks, guys.